Hello everyone, I am Lex from Dead Gentry, and there's so many beautiful things on the table today. We did a whole new allotment when we went sourcing the other day. None of these are up yet. We should do a nice video, some information on all those pieces. That would be fun. Let me do this video first, however. So this is a coffee pot by Ilonka Karasz. Karasz. If you're Hungarian American, forgive me. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. So she was alive 1896 through 1981. Very important designer from her period. Very important. Again, Hungarian American, well-known illustrator, made so many different objects. This specific object, again, is a coffee pot. I'm trying to think. It made by Pay and Baker, designed by Ilonka. This one's height is around 5¼ inches. There's actually 3 of these. So I believe the Met has the entire collection in beautifully, like enchantingly perfect condition in their permanent collection. So you could probably Google like Ilonka Karasz, that's Karasz, coffee service, the Met, and you will probably see a picture of the entire collection. So there's actually a more diminutive, a shorter stature coffee pot that looks like this, and then also a taller one and a cream and sugar to go with it. 1928, this piece obviously has very heavy tarnish. It's silver plate. So I'm trying to decide what to say and what not to say. There's so much that could be said about this person and everything she contributed to design. She came from Budapest. She attended the Royal School of Arts and Crafts, which to some people who are maybe not used to in this industry, that might sound almost silly, like arts and crafts as if it's childish. Not silly. Very laudable laurel to have in your crown as far as a background and an education to be coming from. She joined modernist designer groups. She was part of, I believe, was it the American Union of Artists and Craftsmen, or Union of Decorative Artists or Decorative Craftsmen, also the American Designers Gallery. So she came together with other people of her period. They were trying to come together to raise, to elevate standards in their field, in these specific arts, as having to do with design and having to do with contemporary design. So she was very successful. She designed all sorts of things, furniture, beautiful pieces of very straight, plain wooden furniture, just gorgeous. She worked with textiles, she worked with wallpaper, ceramics, and even metalwork pieces like this. Again, if you were to Google her name, you're going to see some of the most beautiful, colorful, non-repeating pattern illustrations. One of my favorites is of very colorful animals. She did amazing illustrations. Incredible, just fabulous. And great geometric, very, again, modernist designs and things like furniture. There's a very famous silver bowl by her. Is it like a conical structure, if you were to put in her name, and then silver bowl, where it's almost, it looks like it's just cut across the top, and it's a pointed cone facing down inside of a X-frame base. Just absolutely gorgeous, perfectly simple form of aesthetic. If you ever see that. So take the time to Google these things, the things I'm discussing, to even look at a 2-dimensional image of some of her work, so that you know what not to pass up later to add to your own silver plate collections, or perhaps if you're sourcing or procuring for your own patrons, you should kind of know what to look for. This is the sort of piece, when first seen, a lot of people would walk by and think it's without value. It's absolutely a valuable and worthy antique. So this particular coffee pot was part of a larger service. It's comprised of circles, as you can see, this reeding, or you could call it fluting, these tall, thin tubular structures that come up all the way around it. That's the only decorative detail to this entire form are these repeating circles. You see it here in the handle. You see the cylindrical form, again, within the wooden form here. Here at the edge of these handles, and again throughout here, these repeating circular forms. And that's the only decoration involved. Just absolutely influenced by the Bauhaus, that focus on geometric forms as the basis of all design. Bauhaus, from the German building house, Bauhaus, if you want to look into that a little bit further. Very important movement, very important school of design and influence on designers in contemporary design. So 1919 to 1933, if you want to learn a little bit more about that. And these are important things to know, because it's not just about being able to recognize this piece here, although, yes, be able to recognize this piece by Ilonka, but to recognize pieces like it, so that when you see other contemporary or mid-century modern forms, or forms created by modernist designers, whether it's in small objects, ceramic objects, possibly furniture pieces, that you know, without maybe knowing all of the background, you can look at it and go, okay, I kind of know what that genre of art is and when it's likely from, and therefore I already know it to be valuable. That's a good thing to know how to do. Trying to think of names of the Bauhaus movement is, again, building house. It's kind of this idea of mass production, but coming together with higher level aesthetics, very clean aesthetics for everyday functions. So on like an everyday item such as this, but done beautifully, but also cleanly and simply so that it could be mass produced. That's kind of the idea behind that entire movement in design. So you have names like Mondrian, Kandinsky, Klee, all last names you could go ahead and Google. They worked in things like steel, plexiglass, very collectible, often very valuable in good condition, glass, concrete, these forms with these very, again, clean, simple seeming, pure lines, geometric shapes like what you see here, these repeating circles. If there's color involved, it's usually primary color or very chromatic color schemes. It's important to know when we talk about different vintage items, why they're valuable. A piece like this is incredibly valuable to anyone who's involved in, women's influence or women's studies through the arts or in design throughout American history. Ilonka was very important. So if a collector of more feminist, orientated pieces would be very interested in this. Someone who's very interested in Bauhaus would be very interested in collecting this. Someone who's interested in highly influential people, male or female, maybe American, maybe not, through the modernist movements in design, again, makes this piece very important. So these are all good things to know. And as I said, I do believe the Met, if you want to see the full collection, I believe the Met has this. If you happen to be lucky enough to be traveling there or living there, you could go visit and view it as part of their permanent collection if it's on display. But it's definitely cataloged with images available online that you could also look at. So another beautiful piece, an example of very important silver plate when it comes to vintage and antique items. And I'm just going to say her name one more time, Ilonka Karasz. Even if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Ilonka Wonderful designer. You won't regret learning a little bit about her. So I hope that helps. Cheers, everyone.